For Artifact 6, I developed 3 lessons. It is 2 lesson plans and 1 is a multi-day. This first lesson is centered around ethical behavior online, and it is called Sharing by Caring. Our focus question is, how should I act online? And then we also discussed a little bit about cyberbullying and what we should do if someone else is acting inappropriate online, and then how we should treat others online. So the ultimate objective of this lesson was to teach students how to communicate and represent themselves when interacting and sharing things online, as well as what cyberbullying is and how to handle it. So the resources we needed were paper hearts, 1 per student, and then our smartboard. I had my kindergartners, I asked them to open up the discussion if they know what they should do if someone is being mean to them, or if they see it happening to someone else. And then we discussed what if that was happening online with a computer, tablet, or video game. We watched this YouTube video, and then I had students turn and talk about what was discussed in the video, and then discuss as a class. I guided students to recall the definition of the term cyberbullying and ask if they could give examples. Then I asked students to raise their hands and provide examples of what they can do when they see that happening online. Can they stand up respectfully for the victim or tell an adult, and things like that. We also discussed how it makes us feel when others say mean things to us. We talked about noticing when we speak, wave, or smile, when others do not support us, yell at us, or things like that, that we tell students that each of those things can cause a wrinkle or a crack in our heart. Then I had students crumple their paper heart and then try to smooth it back out. And I asked the students, will it ever smooth back out the way it was without any wrinkles or rips? And why not? And then I told students that this is what it's like when we are mean online as well. It doesn't change just because we aren't face to face, and this is why it's so important to think before we type. So here is where I was modeling and giving students a learning experience of what it looks like to show empathy and behave ethically online. We switched the conversation to how we should act online, that we should compliment, support, treat others the way we want to be treated. And if we don't have anything nice to say, that we do not say anything at all. While we do have freedom of speech and opinion, we also need to be respectful in our agreements and disagreements, and then how to do that. We also discussed why it's important to interact ethically and respectfully online, because we want to show others we care. We have a reputation to uphold that is positive. Our words are powerful, and when they are written, and especially when they're online, that they never go away. So we also discussed that as well. I have some extension ideas here. I did not get to those since this lesson followed into the next day with a lesson titled Treat Others the Way You Want to Be Treated. This is where we talked about those more positive and responsible communicative contributions online. So our focus question for this one was, what is the positive and responsible way to respond to others online? And can I disagree with someone? And how do I keep a conversation going beyond just one response? So we were really talking about that, those communication skills between students when they're interacting online. So first we watched this video to discuss empathy further. And then we talked about nonverbal ways to tell how someone is feeling, or how we end up showing others the way we feel. So physical nonverbal cues were facial expressions and body language, and then auditory is our tone of voice, and words that we use to describe our feelings. So I had students to help them see what their face and body is doing when they are listening to someone or when they are responding to them. I had them hold up a handheld mirror to their face and show their facial expressions when I asked them to show me their facial expressions when they're listening to someone they care about. We talked about how we make eye contact and we nod when we are listening to them. And then I had students stand in front of the full-length mirror in our classroom to show open body language, and we discussed what those were. I mentored them through this activity where they are facing towards the speaker. They do not have crossed arms. They are engaged and have a calm posture, what that looks like, and we practiced it. Then students came back to the carpet, and I showed them little pre-made social media posts. For example, one said, "I hate it when my little brother tries to play with my toys at home. Why can't he just leave me alone?" And then I asked students to open the discussion and raise their hand to share their response to that topic. Do they agree or disagree, and why? And I guided them in using complete sentences, using our sentence starters and calm tones, regardless of what their opinion was. And then next offered more conversation starters to let students interact with one another. And they could choose a partner to discuss whether they agreed or disagreed with their idea. I have some more extension ideas, but this did go into a second day with part 2. So on this one, we really talked about the resolution to conflict when we agree or disagree with someone. So for this activity, I did have students start out with that. This video. And then we learned how to carry on a conversation in person, and then how we would do that online. So for this, we started out with chart paper for each student that was posted to the wall, and they came up with their own post about their favorite Halloween memory or tradition. Then I had students rotate clockwise around the room to the next chart paper, and they wrote a response on a Post-it note to their classmates' post. Whether they liked that memory or they had done that as well, if that's a tradition they had done, and then had students reply back to the comment on their own post. So we rotated back counterclockwise so that they could respond to that post. We did discuss those, the glows and grows for each budding conversation, and then what else we could add. What were some other things that we could add to keep that conversation going? We also went over a list of reminders to keep conversation going for students that had sentence stems on it. And then we moved on to Google Classroom, where I had students create their own post in a digital sense, from a list of conversation starters, and then teachers helped with the students that needed it. I did require students to comment constructively on at least 2 classmates' posts using the conversation tips for continuing conversation, and then encourage students to respond back to the peers that had commented on their posts.